I'd tell you whose first time it was not being in Jordan-Hare, and that was your boy, your head coach, and honestly, possibly the hero of this program right now. Has turned everything around is Carnell Williams. I didn't think if you asked me 2 weeks ago that we would be having this conversation so genuinely and earnestly, I guess.
Right.
An incredible job at Mississippi State, just having them like come from behind the second half, especially since Harsey couldn't never do that. But you get a home win, and I don't care if it's against Texas A&M. He has revitalized the fan base, and there are a lot of people that now believe in Carnell Williams and believe that he should at least get a fair shot at an opportunity at this job. Should Carnell Williams be the next head coach at Auburn, and should he at least have a chance at landing the job?
I don't think it's hard for me to say should he be, but could he be? Absolutely. Should he get a fair shot? Absolutely. And I was kind of speaking on this earlier. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen Auburn be 3-6 or have such an incredibly poor season by Auburn standards and be this excited about something. So the fact of having like a folklore hero come back home and march off victorious into the 30-degree weather in Alabama, that whole setting was just amazing. So I think, and one of the biggest things people are talking about is, are we being emotional prisoners of the moment as Auburn fans? And I think it's okay to be. Yeah. Why? Because we're coming off one of the darkest times in Auburn history over the past 2 years. Nobody was excited for the game, and that has a lot to do with the excitement going on with the program right now. But to answer your question a little more succinctly, I think that he could be the coach, but he 1,000% should be one of the leading candidates for the job.
Yeah, I think, honestly, that's the thing. Like, you've actually phrased it better, which was, should he be the coach? I don't know. Could he be the coach? And that's almost a bigger question, because what sucks about this is, very little is what sucks about this, because it really is awesome. This, again, first time being in Jordan-Hare. Everyone here knows my background. I grew up a Bama fan. If you would have told me those were 2 3-6 teams, now I would have believed it from the quarterback play, but I would not have believed it from the atmosphere. The atmosphere was awesome, man. It was awesome. They stayed afterwards. Me and the girlfriend were walking back to the apartment, and I was like, "There's no one around. Like, where is everybody?" They stayed in the fucking student section and celebrated the win. And honestly, man, I don't know. They were talking about this on Sunday, and that is a top 5, like you said, folk hero. And I mean, like the post Pat Dye era, right? Like not Bo Jackson, obviously. But outside of Cam Newton, I can't think of anybody that incites that kind of feeling and emotion for Auburn fans.
No, absolutely not. You won't find one. You got guys who've been successful, maybe in other sports, but I'd be hard pressed. I had a guy ask me yesterday what I thought, and I kind of reversed the question to him, and I said, if you had to have an Auburn Mount Rushmore, how is Cadillac Williams not on there? And one of the most iconic calls by Auburn legend made on the run that he made in the Iron Bowl. So it's like he
I just sat down,
everything.
Bro. The game just started. That game just started. It was already over.
No, absolutely. So I think, man, it's going to be tough because, all right, so I think the main thing is going to be the staff around him. Who could he bring? The next thing is his experience level. Does he have the type of experience as far as being a leader amongst millionaires, right? And what I mean by that is, could he be the CEO over over $2 million coordinators, which is probably what you would need if he was the head coach, and how would he handle that interaction? But I think that when it comes down to running a football team, as far as being a coach in the SEC, the X's and O's are so, I just think they're so overrated.
Right.
I think institutional control.
So does Bill O'Brien.
I mean, all right, think about this. You take Nick Saban and you give him Auburn's team. How much better do you think Auburn is?
Do they have Bryce Young?
Nope.
No, they're instantly better, and they are. Like, it's interesting you say that part, because where would they be better at, right? Like, and Auburn's been just out of nowhere, night and day better on the offensive defensive line, which, Carnell didn't play left tackle.
Right. Exactly. And I think that from an X's and O's standpoint, I mean, they ran the ball all night long, and Texas A&M couldn't stop it. Like that's all they did was run the ball. I mean, so I'm not really concerned with the X's and O's as much as I am. How do you run a program? How, can you motivate can you get the most out of the players? Can you and it's almost like, can you add an exponent to a guy? And what I mean by that is, if you got a running back who's has the potential to go for 80, can you throw a 2 or 3 up on the corner and make him go for more than what he actually can? Can you make him double his production because of the intangibles that are in here that comes from believing in yourself in the program? And for somebody who's been a recipient of that Auburn magic, it's just weird in Jordan-Hare Stadium, and you have to be there to understand how weird it can get. And I think we see it on TV. We see the kick six. We see all of the prayer and Jordan-Hare and all this. Right. And I think there's no better person. Now, if you want to go make a hire that's going to galvanize the fan base, that's going to have the stadium packed, and is going to help in recruiting, absolutely hire this guy. If you're worried about more so of the technicalities that go along with being a CEO of a football team, a la head coach, then I think that, he's probably not the best candidate. But I think as far as the best blend, he's showing me right now that he can get by.
I mean, I will say this too. We'll close it out here in a second, because like there's going to be obviously something we'll be talking about probably over the next couple of weeks, unless Auburn pulls the trigger out of nowhere, like we heard they might have done on Monday. The thing for me is this: like this is an odd example, and people are going to laugh when they watch this, but like just hear me out. Maybe the best example of what Cadillac could do, because nobody understands that culture and has already like rebuilt that culture more than Cadillac Williams, right? And then you start like surrounding yourself with people like Zach Etheridge. I'll tell you what, how much like fighting was going on with like that staff just inside those like rooms, the meeting rooms. And then you hear Carnell Williams gets the job. And on Tuesday, every single coach stays until 2 a.m. to help him figure out a game plan, since he had never done this before. And the transparency of like, his emotions on it and how much the team believes in him. Remember, Coach O got that job at LSU, and there are a few people that like wanted to work at a certain place as much as he wanted to work at LSU. What he did, what I thought was wildly impressive, because everyone made fun of him because the way he talked, and he's a caricature of a human being. But he went out and got Aranda and gave him $2 million. He went out and got his offensive coordinator, gave him $2 million, and then he went and found Joe Brady. And everyone else got paid before him. Everyone else ate. Carnell will do that in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. And so if you want to go defense, I know T. Will and UCF is having a great year. He would come back and run it. That would be a good spot for him. Tavares Robinson is another good friend of his that I know would come call the defense, who's been there before. And he's got guys, you got to think, like his network. He wasn't just an Auburn legend. Before his injuries, he was on pace to be a Hall of Fame NFL player. And right now his cleats are in Canton. He set a rookie record for most yards in a 2 or 3 game span. So his cleats are in Canton. I mean, and it just shows you. So his network is vast, and I think that there are people that want to work with him. He was very instrumental in getting Ike Hilliard to come be the wide receivers coach from their time together in Tampa. So I think he's a guy that could galvanize the program. Is he the right guy for the job? I can't say he's not. But, that remains to be seen. And I think the only 2 people that know who the guy is going to be is President Roberts and Cohen.
Oh, I think Jimmy Rain's probably involved in there just a little bit. But,
man, what?
But I hope you're right.
I'll tell you one thing. I do know some there were some guys who weren't really happy with Cohen being a hire.
Right.
Because they didn't get as much input. So
which is what you need.
Right.
It blows my mind. It blows my mind. But I will say this. We'll close out with this. We sat here and people got so excited about Deion. Deion will recruit better than anybody in the country, blah, blah, blah. And the optics of that, I think, just to be honest, of having one of the very few, it's still count on one hand, like African-American coaches in the SEC, and then to do it in a state like Alabama, especially, but come home to your alma mater and get to bring that back up. We sat here and talked about Deion nonstop, about how he would just be obviously a shoe-in, and it would be a perfect hire. We definitely overlooked Carnell Williams. I think he could possibly end up being better, not from an X's and O's standpoint, but growing a program, growing a culture. showing highlights that ruined my childhood. He's got all those.
Right. Hey, man, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing about it is, man, he's so genuine. And I think that's something that Auburn has been lacking recently. And I'm not, not a shot at Harsin, but as far as being a genuine Auburn man, somebody who actually like can probably recite the creed right now. And people in Auburn are like, the creed.
Yeah.
Trust me, the creed.
Fought until the end.
Right,
I believe in Auburn. I love it.
Man, and love it. Yeah, so he believes in it. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, dog.
Last question real quick, just yes or no here. If he loses to Western Kentucky, does he lose all the momentum?
Absolutely.
Oh, God. All right, fair enough. All right, tell everyone where they can find your content and all that good stuff, and we'll get at you soon, dude.
Find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dukes D Scoop and on YouTube at the Casual Flex Podcast, where culture meets sports.
Love it. It's a good voice there. All right. We'll do this again soon, man.
All right, for sure. All right.